Alright, Low Life Whispering Ice Guardian build guide. Let's go. So this build's basically another build that's focused on boss killing, since that just seems to be what I'm gravitating towards this league for whatever reason. But it was my first time diving in on a Whispering Ice character. I never played a build with it before, and it's been a lot of fun putting it together. Throw up a map to get things started. Pretty basic, easy map, but it is a T16, so I can show off a little bit of the boss stuff. And we'll get it in action. So as you'll see here, the mapping speed is pretty slow, just kind of due to the nature of cast wall channeling. But the cast wall channeling is extremely powerful once we make it to the bosses, since it lets us get out a lot of ice storm spam without really investing in any cast speed. And then the lowered fire res is also really good. Now, when I started this build, I had a couple of ideas in mind, but I didn't really know where I was going with it. And I started it out on a pretty cheap budget. And as far as a low life build goes, this was actually probably the strongest feeling one that I've played while using like a Solaris Lorica and some really basic items, just kind of because of how powerful the Guardian Ascendancy nodes are, especially for defenses. I swapped to low life at around level 78, like I said, with a Lorica without anything really that amazing, and my character had over 7,000 ES and 80% all res, and I was having no problem just cruising through the low to mid tier maps, and nothing could really hurt me too bad. Once you start building up the real items, the Shavs, Astra Menace, all that int stacking, the build really starts to shine, and the single target damage is quite good despite the slow clear speed. You just need your time to get stacked up and all that. And of course the build is tanky as hell. This thing is damn near unkillable. As far as stuff like party play goes, it'll work quite well there, just due to Guardian nodes being really strong. And all the auras that you're running are really helpful. But let's get this boss going. I've got my golem away because I don't want this dude diving at me, and you'll see I'll just be able to face tank the Minotaur here without too much threat, hopefully. Let him do his first dive, and then we're just going in. And once we stack up, he should start dying pretty quick. You'll see my sustain just ES fills up really fast, even without instant leech from Vault Pact anymore. And boss guy is dead. Get out of those fallen things. So let's show now what is making this build tick. So for the gear, just jump right into it. Here's what you're looking for. You've got your Whispering Ice, obviously, and then the other uniques of worth noting: Astra Menace Amulet, best in slot for just straight up having all the stats you need. Tons of int, and then it helps your strength and dex requirements so that you don't need to really worry about it anywhere else, especially strength, since you're going to be kind of bricking your strength on some jewels that'll show you when I go over the tree. Shavs, wrappings on the body armor, or if you can't afford it, you can do Solaris Lorica. And it's playable, but obviously you want the Shavs. Really good energy shield boost. On the belt, Cyclopean Coil is actually a new unique. It drops from the Elder, but it's extremely common and it's extremely cheap. They basically don't go for anything, but it's got increased attributes, which is very nice because that's more intelligence. And then if you set up your stats right, which you should be able to do, your int is going to be your highest, so you cannot be shocked because your int is higher than your strength. And then all you have to do besides that is get your strength higher than your dexterity, and you also have ignite immunity. So the belt's giving you a ton of int, shock immunity, ignite immunity, and a little bit of damage. Overall, I think it's really, really good, and you probably could wear it forever, but there's a possibility that a rare Elder Belt with something like increased attributes and some other crazy stats could be good, but that's like a very mega endgame investment. Other than that, we've got rings. You just want int, res, es. Kind of all the non-unique slots you want int, res, es. Ideally, T1 int everywhere because that's your damage and it gives you a lot of defense. On boots, you're probably going to want to just grab a pair of Syntrex. They are the cheapest way to get a really nice pair of boots. But ideally, a good rare pair of boots will be a little bit better once you can afford that. And for a helmet, you just want a rare helmet unless you are on a cheap budget. If you're not running all the auras yet, because if you don't have the enlightened gems to run them all, you kind of can't run them. In that case, Memory Vault, which is another new unique item, it gives you a whole bunch of ES, a whole bunch of mana, and some armor. It is a really good budget option in the helmet space. And then for the flasks, pretty straightforward as usual. Adrenaline, Quicksilver, and then your Sulfur and your Granite, which are your two bigger use utility flasks. You're going to want to get heat and staunching. You really don't want the heat on something with low uses since you're a low life build and you're much more prone to getting frozen. And then get your warding on your Basalt Flask just because you don't need to use that as often. For the jewels, I'll go over the jewels in a little more detail when I open the passive tree, but just for what you want to be looking out for, 3 brute force solutions. They give you int and then they convert nearby strength nodes to int. Watcher's Eye, the new unique Elder Jewel, if you can get one with Fire Leech from Anger, is extremely powerful and kind of what makes this build go to the next level. And then Emperor's Mastery, just a really OP jewel in general for stat stacking builds, but they are quite expensive since it's only from the Uber Lab leaderboards daily thing, so only one shows up a day in the league. Then the other thing that we're missing here on the other flask is a Wise Oak. Very strong. It gives you some much needed pen. And if you're able to balance your resists, you can even get more elemental mitigation on top of all the auras you're running, which ends up just feeling really, really good. And then here's the Emperor's Mastery. Just tons of increased attributes. Increased global defenses basically is increased armor, evasion, and energy shield combined into one. So it's giving you armor and it's giving you energy shield on top of a big int buff. I think that about covers all the gear. So let's move on to the gems. For the gems, we have got in the staff are Whispering Ice Links with the Ice Storm. You got Scorching Ray, Castle Channeling, LA Focus, Controlled Destruction. Those first 4 gems with the Scorching Ray, you want them to be linked. You need a 4 link on that so that the Scorching Ray also gets the damage multipliers from those gems, and the Scorching Ray will actually do some pretty decent damage to help clear trash mobs and maps. And then the last 2 gems don't need to be linked at all. You don't need a 5 link, you don't need a 6 link, which is really convenient. And you're going to want Cold to Fire, and you're going to want increased AoE swapped to concentrated effect for bosses. In your body armor, you'll have a 5 link for your auras that are not being run on blood magic, and that's going to be Discipline, Anger, Clarity, and one of your purities. I would put Purity of Lightning there just so you don't need to get extra off colors on the shavs, since it gets more annoying. In your helmet, basic cast when damage taken plus Fall Discipline. Gloves, all your other utility gems, faster casting, Flame Dash, the totem. And then in your boots, you've got Purity of Fire, Purity of Ice, Blood Magic, and Enlighten. And something to note that's really important, once you have all your aura nodes, once you have all your basic stuff set up to reduce your mana reserved, if you want to run both of the purities on blood magic at the same time, you actually need a level 3 Enlighten and a level 21 blood magic, which can be pretty tough to get. So until you have those, what I recommend doing is you drop anger, assuming you don't have the Elder Jewel, because if you don't have the purity and the blood magic, or the enlighten and the blood magic, you probably don't have the Elder Jewel yet. So you just drop anger, shift your purity of fire over to your body armor links, and put Arctic armor on your blood magic. So you're basically swapping out anger for Arctic armor. And then the only thing missing is the last socket in your body armor that's not being used. You can put like a self-cast curse there. You can put whatever you really want there. I've just been putting my concentrated effect in there to make it easier to swap, and also to get my concentrated effect leveled up, since I haven't made it to level 20 on the gem yet. But I think that pretty much covers everything for the gems. Now again, to the tree we go. First thing to cover is the Watcher's Eye Jewel. This is actually the reason I made this character and tested the whole build out, was because I got this jewel as a drop. Mine has the fire damage leech as life with anger, and 29 ES on hit with discipline, which works for spells. But the flat ES on hit isn't really required. It's really the anger leech that you're looking for, since it lets you get the much needed leech that Whispering Ice builds usually have to sacrifice a bit for. But if you can't get your hands on one of these, pretty much the two alternatives you have. You either don't go Avatar of Fire until you have the jewel, in which case you would drop Cold to Fire out of your links, and you would go Life Leech in the links. Or what you can also do is get a rare Elder Ring with the Warlord's Mark on hit mod, and then use that Warlord's Mark as your leech, which can work really well. And should be quite a bit cheaper than grabbing a Watcher's Eye Jewel. Alright, now on to the Ascendancy nodes. We've got Radiant Faith, Unwavering Faith, the whole aura, Wings, since obviously we're running a whole bunch of auras, we're low life. Those are going to be your first 4 points. For Merciless, you're going to want Time of Need. Gives you a little bit of regen, gives you a little bit of curse reduction, which is convenient. And then Uberlab isn't really too important. It's pretty decent when you're fighting bosses, though, to get the extra block chance, and then the 50% block chance once every 5 seconds, which you can see when it goes off actually puts us at exactly 75 block chance, and that triggers at the same time Time of Need does, so you get the big regen and you get the block chance together, which kind of makes sure that you're not going to die while your free regen is happening. The other things you need on the tree, the 3 Brute Force Solution Jewels, you can see them over here on the left side. These are some of the first nodes you're going to want to get, is this whole left side wing traveling down to Unwavering Stance. You need that stun immunity. And then other than that, your top priority on points is the aura nodes. You need them to be able to run all of your auras, influence, leadership, and sovereignty. And also Pain Attunement, Ghost Reaver, and Zealot Cells. So you're kind of just from the start traveling to make it to all of those points, and from there kind of grabbing ES and mana on the way, and then kind of damage is really your last priority, other than like Elemental Overload, since it's a huge multiplier. But I will put a link to this tree in the description, along with like a Path of Building link to my character, so you can see all of that stuff on your own. And for bandits, we killed them all. We don't like the bandits. Fuck the bandits. Get those 2 skill points. And for pantheons, for the normal mapping, I will use these 2. I will use Lunaris and Tukohama. I pretty much only ever swap off of Tukohama for poison maps to grab the immune to poison, but Tukohama is really good since you're standing still channeling. But for single target bosses, you want to swap to Solaris, since Lunaris doesn't really do well unless there's multiple targets. And those 4 are kind of the ones you're going to be using on the build. Now for leveling, you can kind of level it however you want. Some people actually level Whispering Ice builds as Whispering Ice. I didn't try it. I just leveled as Firestorm, since that's how I know how to level Templar, and it was really easy. You just, basic firestorm stuff, grab damage nodes and life nodes and fire nodes all the way from Templar to Witch, and you're pretty much covered for your entire leveling process, just this whole area, and it's pretty easy. And another thing I tried, which I 100% recommend you do on pretty much any character, not even just this one, if you can buy a lightpoacher helmet, the new Abyss helmet, put it on at level 53, even if you have nothing else scaling it, that helmet is probably going to carry you from level 53 to level 75 faster than just about any other build option will. So I did that, and I got to level 75 really fast, and grinded out a few more levels after that, and swapped to low life at 78. But you realistically could swap to low life with the Whispering Ice, with a Solaris Lorica at level 75, and you would probably still have at least 6,500 energy shield, which is pretty solid and easily more than enough to be doing white tier maps and like low yellow tier maps. So I think if I were to do it again, I would just swap instantly at 75 once I'm done using the lightpoacher. And with that, I think we've got everything covered. Like I said, I will post the passive tree, I will post a path of building link, and I will post the gear and the gem kind of template things in the description below. If you have any other questions about the build, let me know in the comments. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.